Welcome to Slothful Slumber, the podcast where we transform the vast knowledge of the internet into a gentle lullaby for your mind. I'm your host, Luna Dreamwell, and I'm here to guide you on a journey to tranquility through the soothing cadence of Wikipedia articles. Each episode will delve into the most wonderfully mundane and sleep-inducing topics, helping you drift off into a realm of serene dreams. So find your comfortable space, close your eyes, and let the dull hum of information carry you into a restful slumber. Now, let's embark on tonight's voyage of tranquil learning as we explore a topic so peacefully uneventful, it just might whisk you away to the land of dreams. This Wikipedia article is titled Pyrenees. The Pyrenees are a mountain range straddling the border of France and Spain. They extend nearly 500 kilometers, 310 miles, from their union with the Cantabrian Mountains to Cap de Creus on the Mediterranean coast, reaching a maximum altitude of 3,404 meters. 11,168 feet at the peak of Anedo. For the most part, the main crest forms a divide between Spain and France, with the microstate of Andorra sandwiched in between. Historically, the Crown of Aragon and the Kingdom of Navarre extended on both sides of the mountain range. Etymology. In Greek mythology, Pyrene is a princess who gave her name to the Pyrenees. The Greek historian Herodotus says Pyrene is the name of a town in Celtic Europe. According to Silius Italicus, she was the virgin daughter of Bebrix, a king in Mediterranean Gaul by whom the hero Hercules was given hospitality during his quest to steal the cattle of Geryon during his famous labors. Hercules, characteristically drunk and lustful, violates the sacred code of hospitality and rapes his host's daughter. Pyrene gives birth to a serpent and runs away to the woods, afraid that her father will be angry. Alone, she pours out her story to the trees, attracting the attention of wild beasts who tear her to pieces. After his victory over Geryon, Hercules passes through the kingdom of Bebrix again, finding the girl's lacerated remains. As is often the case in stories of this hero, the sober Hercules responds with heartbroken grief and remorse at the actions of his darker self, and lays Pyrene to rest tenderly, demanding that the surrounding geography join in mourning and preserve her name. Struck by Herculean voice, the mountaintops shudder at the ridges. He kept crying out with a sorrowful noise, Pyrene, and all the rock cliffs and wild beast haunts echo back, Pyrene. The mountains hold on to the wept-over name through the ages. Pliny the Elder connects the story of Hercules and Pyrene to Lusitania, but rejects it as fabulosa, highly fictional. Other classical sources derived the name from the Greek word for fire, ancient Greek, per. According to Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, in ancient times, we are told, certain herdsmen left a fire, and the whole area of the mountains was entirely consumed. And due to this fire, since it raged continuously day after day, the surface of the earth was also burned, and the mountains, because of what had taken place, were called the Pyrenees. Geography. Political divisions. The Spanish Pyrenees are part of the following provinces: from east to west. Girona, Barcelona, Lleida, all in Catalonia. Huesca, in Aragon. Navarra, in Navarre. The French Pyrenees are part of the following departments, from east to west. Pyrénées Orientales, also known as Northern Catalonia. Aude, Ariège, Haute-Garonne, Haute-Pyrénées, and Pyrénées-Atlantiques, the latter two of which include the Pyrenees National Park. The independent Principality of Andorra is sandwiched in the eastern portion of the mountain range between the Spanish Pyrenees and French Pyrenees. Physiographical divisions. Physiographically, the Pyrenees may be divided into three sections: the Atlantic or Western, the Central, and the Eastern Pyrenees. Together, they form a distinct physiographic province of the larger Alpine System division. In the Western Pyrenees, from the Basque Mountains near the Bay of Biscay of the Atlantic Ocean, the average elevation gradually increases from west to east. The Central Pyrenees extend eastward from the Somport Pass to the Aran Valley, and they include the highest summits of this range. Pico de Aneto, 3,404 meters, 11,168 feet, in the Maladeta Ridge. Pico Posets, 3,375 meters, 11,073 feet. Monte Perdido, 3,355 meters, 11,007 feet. In the Eastern Pyrenees, with the exception of one break at the eastern extremity of the Pyrénées Ariégeoises in the Ariège area, the mean elevation is remarkably uniform until a sudden decline occurs in the easternmost portion of the chain known as the Albert. Foothills. Most foothills of the Pyrenees are on the Spanish side, where there is a large and complex system of ranges stretching from Spanish Navarre across northern Aragon and into Catalonia, almost reaching the Mediterranean coast with summits reaching 2,600 meters, 8,500 feet. At the eastern end, on the southern side, lies a distinct area known as the Sub-Pyrenees. On the French side, the slopes of the main range descend abruptly, and there are no foothills except in the Corbière Massif, in the northeastern corner of the mountain system. Geology. The Pyrenees are older than the Alps. Their sediments were first deposited in coastal basins during the Paleozoic and Mesozoic eras. Between 100 and 150 million years ago, during the Lower Cretaceous period, the Bay of Biscay fanned out, pushing present-day Spain against France and applying intense compressional pressure to large layers of sedimentary rock. The intense pressure and uplifting of the Earth's crust first affected the eastern part and moved progressively to the entire chain, culminating in the Eocene epoch. The eastern part of the Pyrenees consists largely of granite and gneiss rocks, while in the western part, the granite peaks are flanked by layers of limestone. The massive and unworn character of the chain comes from its abundance of granite, which is particularly resistant to erosion, as well as weak glacial development. The upper parts of the Pyrenees contain low-relief surfaces forming a peneplain. This peneplain originated no earlier than in late Miocene times. Presumably, it formed at height as extensive sedimentation raised the local base level considerably. Landscape. Conspicuous features of Pyrenean scenery are the absence of great lakes, such as those that fill the lateral valleys of the Alps, the rarity and relative high elevation of usable passes, the large number of the mountain torrents locally called gaves, which often form lofty waterfalls, surpassed in Europe only by those of Scandinavia. The frequency with which the upper end of a valley assumes the form of a semicircle of precipitous cliffs, called a cirque. The highest waterfall is Gavarnie, 462 meters or 1,515 feet, at the head of the Gave de Pau. The Cirque de Gavarnie in the same valley, together with the nearby Cirque de Trémouse and Cirque d'Estobé, are notable examples of the cirque formation. Low passes are lacking, and the principal roads and the railroads between France and Spain run only in the lowlands at the western and eastern ends of the Pyrenees, near sea level. The main passes of note are Col de la Perche, 1,581 meters, 5,187 feet. Towards the east, between the valley of the Tate and the valley of the Segre, Col de Puymorens, 1,920 meters, 6,300 feet, on European route A09 between France and Spain. The nearby Pas de la Casa, or Port d'Envalira, the highest road pass in the Pyrenees at 2,408 meters, 7,900 feet, and one of the highest points of the European road network, which provides the route from France to Andorra. The Port de la Bonegua, 2,070 meters, 6,790 feet, in the middle of the range at the head of the Aran Valley. Plan de Beret, 1,870 meters, 6,140 feet. Col du Portalet, 1,794 meters, 5,886 feet. The Col de Somport, or Port de Confranc, 1,632 meters, 5,354 feet, where there were old Roman roads. Col de la Pierre Saint-Martin, 1,766 meters, 5,794 feet. Puerto de la Rao, 1,578 meters, 5,177 feet. The Roncevaux Pass, 1,057 meters, 3,468 feet, entirely in Navarre, Spain, is an important point on the Camino de Santiago pilgrimage route. Because of the lack of low passes, a number of tunnels have been created beneath the passes at Somport and Valira and Puymorens, and new routes in the center of the range at Bielsa and Viella. A notable visual feature of this mountain range is La Brèche de Roland, a gap in the ridgeline which, according to legend, was created by Roland. Natural resources. The metallic ores of the Pyrenees are not in general of much importance now, though there were iron mines at several locations in Andorra, as well as at Vigdessos in Ariège, and the foot of Canigou in Pyrénées-Orientales long ago. Coal deposits capable of being profitably worked are situated chiefly on the Spanish slopes, but the French side has beds of lignite. The open pit of Tremoun, near the commune of Luzenac, Ariège, is one of the greatest sources of talc in Europe. There are many marble quarries in the Pyrenees, most of which were opened by the Romans in ancient times. Quarried intermittently, they provided prestigious marbles such as Grand Antique, used in Rome and Constantinople by the Romans. Statuary white marbles, as well as colored marbles, used to decorate the royal palaces of the Louvre and Versailles in France and the Royal Palace of Madrid in Spain. Mineral springs are abundant and remarkable, and especially noteworthy are the hot springs. The hot springs, among which those of Les Escaldes in Andorra, Panticosa, and Les in Spain, Aix-les-Thermes, Bagnères de Luchon, and Eau Chaude in France may be mentioned, are sulphurous and mostly situated high, near the contact of the granite with the stratified rocks. The lower springs, such as those of Bagnères de Bigorre, Hautes-Pyrénées, Rennes-les-Bains, Aude, and Campagne-sur-Aude, Aude, are mostly selenitic and not hot. Climate. The amount of precipitation the range receives, including rain and snow, is much greater in the western than in the eastern Pyrenees because of the moist air that blows in from the Atlantic Ocean over the Bay of Biscay. After dropping its moisture over the western and central Pyrenees, the air is left dry over the eastern Pyrenees. The winter average temperature is 2 degrees C, 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Sections of the mountain range vary in more than one respect. There are some glaciers in the western and snowy central Pyrenees, but there are no glaciers in the eastern Pyrenees because there is insufficient snowfall to cause their development. Glaciers are confined to the northern slopes of the central Pyrenees and do not descend like those of the Alps far down into the valleys, but rather have their greatest lengths along the direction of the mountain chain. They form, in fact, in a narrow zone near the crest of the highest mountains. Here, as in the other great mountain ranges of Central Europe, there is substantial evidence of a much wider expanse of glaciation during the glacial periods. The best evidence of this is in the valley of Argelès-Gazost, between Lourdes and Gavarnie, in the department of Hautes-Pyrénées. The annual snowline varies in different parts of the Pyrenees from about 2,700 to 2,800 meters, 8,900 to 9,200 feet above sea level. In average, the seasonal snow is observed at least 50% of the time above 1,600 meters, 5,200 feet, between December and April. Flora and fauna. Flora. A still more marked effect of the preponderance of rainfall in the western half of the chain is seen in the vegetation. The lower mountains in the extreme west are wooded, but the extent of forest declines as one moves eastwards. The eastern Pyrenees are peculiarly wild and barren, all the more since it is in this part of the chain that granitic masses prevail. Also moving from west to east, there is a change in the composition of the flora, with the change becoming most evident as one passes the center of the mountain chain, from which point the Corbière Massif stretch northeastwards towards the central plateau of France. Though the difference in latitude is only about 1 degree, in the west the flora resembles that of Central Europe, while in the east it is distinctly Mediterranean in character. The Pyrenees are nearly as rich in endemic species as the Alps, and among the most remarkable instances of that endemism is the occurrence of the monotypic genus Zetardia, family Apiaceae, which grows only on a high alpine pass between the Val d'Anes and Catalonia. Other examples include Arenaria montana, Bulbocodium vernum, and Ranunculus glacialis. The genus most abundantly represented in the range is that of the saxifrages, several species of which are endemic here. Fauna. In their fauna, the Pyrenees present some striking instances of endemism. The Pyrenean desman is found only in some of the streams of the northern slopes of these mountains. The only other desman, the Russian desman, is confined to the Volga River basin in southern Russia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine. The Pyrenean brook salamander, Calotropon asper, an endemic amphibian, also lives in streams and lakes located at high altitudes. Among other peculiarities of Pyrenean fauna are blind insects in the caverns of Ariège, the principal genera of which are Anophthalmus and Adelops. The Pyrenean ibex, an endemic subspecies of the Iberian ibex, became extinct in January 2000. Another subspecies, the western Spanish ibex, was introduced into the area, with the population numbering over 400 individuals as of 2020. The native brown bear population was hunted to near extinction in the 1990s, but its numbers rebounded in 1996 when 3 bears were brought from Slovenia. The bear population has bred successfully, and there are now believed to be about 15 brown bears in the central region around Foss, with only 4 native ones still living in the ASP Valley. Protected areas, principal nature reserves and national parks. Ordesa y Monte Perdido National Park, Spain. Pyrenees National Park, France. Aigues Tortes y Estany de Saint-Maurice, National Park, Spain. Possets Maladeta Natural Park, Spain. In 1997, part of the Pyrenees, including Ordesa y Monte Perdido National Park and Pyrenees National Park, was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List for its spectacular geologic landforms and testimony to the unique transhumance agricultural system. Demographics and culture. The Pyrenean region possesses a varied ethnology, folklore, and history. The principal languages spoken in the area are Spanish, French, Aragonese, Catalan in Andorra and in northern and southern Catalonia, and Basque. Also spoken to a lesser degree is the Occitan language, consisting of the Gascon and Languedocian dialects in France and the Aranese dialect in the Aran Valley. An important feature of rural life in the Pyrenees is transhumance, the moving of livestock from the farms in the valleys up to the higher grounds of the mountains for the summer. In this way, the farming communities could keep larger herds than the lowland farms could support on their own. The principal animals moved were cows and sheep, but historically most members of farming families also moved to the higher pastures along with their animals, so they also took with them pigs, horses, and chickens. Transhumance thus took the form of a mass biannual migration, moving uphill in May or June and returning to the farms in September or October. During the summer period, the families would live in basic stone cabins in the high mountains. Nowadays, industrialization and changing agriculture practices have diminished the custom. However, the importance of transhumance continues to be recognized through its celebration in popular festivals. Scientific facilities. Pic du Midi Observatory. The Pic du Midi Observatory is an astronomical observatory located at 2877 meters on top of the Pic du Midi de Bigorre in the French Pyrenees. Construction of the observatory began in 1878 and the 8 meters dome was completed in 1908. The observatory housed a powerful mechanical equatorial reflector, which was used in 1909 to formally discredit the Martian canal theory. A 1.06 meter, 42-inch telescope was installed in 1963, funded by NASA, and was used to take detailed photographs of the surface of the Moon in preparation for the Apollo missions. Other studies conducted in 1965 provided a detailed analysis of the composition of the atmospheres on Mars and Venus. This served as a basis for jet propulsion laboratory scientists to predict that these planets had no life. Since 1980, the observatory has had a 2-meter telescope, which is the largest telescope in France. Overtaken by the giant telescopes built in recent decades, today the observatory is widely open to amateur astronomy. Odeyo Solar Furnace. The Odeyo Solar Furnace is the world's largest solar furnace. It is situated in Font-Romeu Odeyo in the department of Pyrenees-Orientales in south of France. Built between 1962 and 1968, it is 54 meters, 177 feet, high and 48 meters, 157 feet, wide, and includes 63 heliostats. The site was chosen because of the length and the quality of sunshine with direct light, more than 2,500 hours per year, and the purity of its atmosphere, high altitude and low average humidity. This furnace serves as a science research site studying materials at very high temperatures. Temperatures above 3,500 degrees Celsius, 6,330 degrees Fahrenheit, can be obtained in a few seconds. In addition, it provides rapid temperature changes and therefore allows studying the effect of thermal shocks. Urban areas. No big cities are in the range itself. The largest urban area close to the Pyrenees is Toulouse, Haute-Garonne, France, with a population of 1,330,954 in its metropolitan area. On the Spanish side, Pamplona, Navarre, is the closest city, with a population of 319,208 in its metropolitan area. Inside the Pyrenees, the main towns are Andorra la Vella, 22,256, and Escaldes and Gordony, 14,367. In Andorra, Jaca, 12,813, and La Seu d'Urgell, 12,252 in Spain, and Lourdes, 13,976, and Foix, 10,046 in France. Sports and leisure. Both sides of the Pyrenees are popular spots for winter sports, such as alpine skiing and mountaineering. The Pyrenees are also a good place for athletes to do high-altitude training in the summertime, such as by bicycling and cross-country running. In the summer and the autumn, the Pyrenees are usually featured in 2 of cycling's grand tours, the Tour de France, held annually in July, and the Vuelta a España, held in September. The stages held in the Pyrenees are often crucial legs of both tours, drawing hundreds of thousands of spectators to the region. 3 main long-distance footpaths run the length of the mountain range. The GR10 across the northern slopes, the GR11 across the southern slopes, and the HRP, which traverses peaks and ridges along a high-altitude route. In addition, there are numerous marked and unmarked trails throughout the region. Pyrenees is a dog mushing competition held in the Pyrenees.